we can improve a better market. I feel like the interest rate's going to continue to decline. We're going to have more inventory, more buyers going to come out of the wood, more sellers going to come out of the wood because now they can afford to move. This is where I feel agents should sharpen their tool, buyers should sharpen their tools, and then get back into the game.
The market's here, opportunities here, it's coming. So sharpen your edges. It's been a while since we got back, so we got to get it in anyways. If you're new to the show, welcome to the Cash Flow Bros podcast with Vin and Evan, my good buddy here. We're both realtors in the Bay Area and both real estate investors. So if you're new to the show, welcome. We love to answer questions about real estate, about investing, about technology. And real estate with us, it spills into other things too, like business, life, entrepreneurship. So it's kind of all encompassing. Right, Evan? What do you think?
Yeah, Vin, it's so long for us to get back and do another episode together. And I miss this because, I have my son, 16 years old. Him and his friends will once in a while message me and say, hey, Dad, when is your next episode? One of my friends has been following you. And he actually hooked me up with one of his friends who graduated high school and went to college. And she wanted to get into cash flow type of businesses because she would listen to one of our episodes, and it's inspired her to go for that financial freedom at a really early age, and that's what excites me. And for me, I do all this, and I mentioned to you before, is to teach my kids. And what's other platform nowadays that kids in tech information, social media is one big one. So by us taking all these episodes and chopping into 60-second or 90-second reels and shorts, it grabs their attentions and they absorb them and they reach out for more. So it's like small bites to, become a successful real estate investor, and it excites me, and I want to go back and do this some more.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really honestly didn't think that we'd have like those type of fans. Honestly, starting this, I wanted to bring value to the people and let everybody know how to start real estate investing so we can all team up and be a community, right? But it's super cool to hear about, your kids' friends. We had somebody telling us that they were listening to the car with their own kid driving to school,
I know,
things
that
like
was
that.
cool.
That's pretty awesome. So,
And if you're new here to this episode, to this podcast, I want to share with you that Vin and I are trying to be as raw, as relevant as possible. And
keep it
stuff
real,
we're
baby.
doing is not what you're reading all polished articles on, Wall Street journals or things that you read on all this blogs. We're more raw and things that we're doing every day here locally at Silicon Valley. So it may be different from your market area, but it's all opinion.
Exactly. I think there's a lot of people that love to throw graphs and stats out there and don't even translate when, I think our goal is to really anecdotally let everybody know from real experience. I mean, you've got 20 plus years of experience. I've got 10 plus years of experience, and we're bringing it to you, like you said, real and raw. So we hope you get something out of this series, out of this episode, and out of this podcast. But like we were saying, it's been a while since last shot our episode. So what have you been up to, man? I know it's kind of a big question.
I know, right? Where do I start? Just a
You
lot
got a
of things.
lot.
So I pretty much dedicate this chapter of my life where what I call it family, right? So I have the quadrants of divided out how I run my daily business, and also too, I've done a lot of things since we spoke. So we grew our real estate team to 14 members. We're shooting for that, 100 million production together. So that's something that's really exciting. That getting a lot of new agent on board and training them and get them to motivate to do one deal a month. But that's really exciting for us. Big quadrant of my time now is dedicated to my kids because both of my kids in high school now, they're playing travel volleyball. And any volleyball parents, dad, you got to drive them to clubs, you got to drive them to tournaments, late night practice, conditioning,
Uber.
go to the gym.
Yeah.
So, I'm fortunate that both of my kids are very dedicated to their game. So they pull me aside, go practice on the side, go conditioning with them at the gym. So these are the things I really enjoy and remind me why I want to have kids at an early age, because I want to have the energy to keep up. And not only that, they have to keep up with me, at least for the time being. And I'm sure they can pretty much surpass me very soon. But that's the part of life where I am really excited and I'm fortunate to have because now I have the strength, the energy to dedicate that for the next 2 3 years, and both of my kids will be graduate from high school and I'll be empty nester at a very early age, and that still give me the time and energy during my prime to focus on my businesses.
That's awesome, man. Actually, we got a special guest who also has kids, Mr. Mike Bowie here. Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up, Evan? How's it going?
Hey, you're on the podcast now. Come on in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, impromptu.
But you know what? We're gonna do a segment.
I brought this for Vin because he's a younger soul here. He has to juke me today
We,
for our New
we were
Year's.
just talking about kids and how you're getting involved. Now Mike's trying to make me his kid by
Yeah,
giving me a leasing. So
my adopted one here.
Hey, welcome home. Hey,
a very prosperous new year, and thanks for having me back.
Yeah,
And I love
of
you.
course. Well, thanks for having me on. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
that's awesome that you guys are
so
doing this.
for the record, I when Vin was thinking about leaving and jumping into different companies, and the first question I asked him is like, what's wrong with where you're at? You know what I mean? Because have you explored all the options? And I say, it's never where you go, it's where you look at and exploring and leverage all the opportunity that you have to offer. Yeah, I'm getting a feedback.
And that's why I'm back here. So
Yeah.
you leverage those opportunities, and it's not only the opportunities, but I find that you spend so much time working with people that you want to pick the right people that you spend the time with, right? And I felt home at EQ1 with the people around here. So
Thanks,
that was
man.
that was the
Appreciate
that
you.
was the biggest thing.
So officially on video, you admitted you're a Mike Bowie child.
Yeah,
Yeah, adopted there, like my younger brother there itself. But hey, hope
yeah,
you guys have a great podcast
yeah.
there too. And Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's,
Yeah.
Evan, to you and your
Actually, we
family.
got to get you on too
Yep.
because I want to ask you about your gym and your other cash flow
Yep.
stuff. So
More than happy to
yeah,
answer questions
we got to get that
and
going.
help out. So yeah, have
Yeah.
a great podcast. Thank you guys. Ciao.
Woo. But yeah, man, it's awesome that you're getting involved with the kids, and the kids are at this age where they're doing so many activities and growing up basically. So it's awesome, man. I'm trying to get there myself, so we'll see in a few years. But besides for the family stuff, I don't know how you find the time because you talk about family, but what I've been seeing from you is all work. So I know you do get involved with the family, but man, I mean 14 people that you said recruited, like how did you even find all these people? Because when I first saw you with this team, it was only like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, usually the thing you see on Facebook are the one thing that we want you to see, and also the time that we have to post, and usually business related. And we try to add some personal there, so we're not robots, right? But
Yeah,
usually when I'm with my kids, I'm wearing sweatpants, gym clothes, and just going back and forth, watching them all day at their tournaments. So those are the things I really focus and dedicate my time with the kids. Um, and then working and coaching them too. So that's a lot of time I dedicate, and I can post whatever I can related to our kids. But as far as the team, yeah, team grew exponentially thanks to, we hired the right people. We picked up a kind of production coach who, because usually I think people recruit. It's easy to recruit and tell people, hey, I'm doing this, doing that, come follow me. But you need a retention system. You need a training system that you can keep the agent engaged and know what to do. So I think hiring the right leadership, it is important. And we're lucky that we have Tabitha, our production coach. She's established this 90 days program that we call it TE 90 day program, where they can come in and connect with TAP and learn all the fundamental, all the basics before they get to come in and work with us on our live deals or hosting our open houses. So the things that I'm really proud here that we're doing here at TE, and I think that we continue to grow in this very organic and slow pace, and go after the right people, and eventually get to the team size that we feel is manageable, and that we can kind of back up and go further and distant together.
yeah, yeah. I think I've only met Tabitha once, but she seems like such a relentless type of leader.
Oh yeah.
Like you can't get away from her. Meaning, you need to do work. If you're not doing work, if you're slacking, she's gonna call you out and make sure that you got to get going. But that's
And in this
awesome, man.
business, you need that kind of energy, that coach, because at the end of the day, yeah, I share that if you go to the gym and you hire a coach, and that coach gonna tell you exactly all the things that you already know how. It's just they holding you accountable, and they don't want to
Yeah.
make sure that you put those reps in to get the result that you wanted it.
Yeah, I think that's so important because we talk about starting in real estate all the time as a real estate agent, as an investor, and it's all about networking and finding those right leadership, right people because you cut out so many steps when you link up with the right or you align with the right people and the right leadership, right? So that's awesome, man. And how's the team doing so far? Because I know this market has been picking up lately.
Just like any other team in a low inventory market, we're hustle
Mm,
and bustles for the listing, and
yeah.
our buyer agents have to work extra hard writing 10 offers just to get one or two accepted. So that's just a normal market
Yep.
for Silicon
For
Valley in a
Bay
low
Area.
inventory environment. So but what's good out of this is that I tell my agent is this, this is where you get your practice in. I want you to write offers every day, every week if you can, and get your practice in because you're gonna iron out all the kinks, and eventually you can hit that gear and say, oh, there it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when you're writing an offer, you don't just negotiate with the seller, you negotiate with your own client. So really, it's meet the mind between the seller and the buyer and just put them in the contract.
Yeah, it's so crazy that you say that. I didn't really think about that, but you do negotiate with your client too, because your client will have certain expectations or certain perspectives that, might be detrimental to them or might be beneficial to them, but they don't know. You really have to be that negotiator slash therapist slash consultant to really put them into position, and then you can start negotiating with the seller as well as a buyer. I kind of want to get into that a little bit more because negotiation, right? We were just talking about before we got in the episode about how the market's been crazy again, and negotiation is so key. And I was talking to somebody recently, and they were like, "Well, what's there to negotiate in this type of environment when it's competitive? It's just highest and best, isn't it?" And that is the case, but you have to negotiate to even know where to get to the highest and best. There's so many little intricacies. So I really want to dive into that with you on this episode about negotiating.
Yeah, and I have a live example just last week. I want to share with you that we happen to be a listing agent for this one listing. I'm not going to tell exactly where it is because we're still in pending status and we're closing very soon. But just kind of give you an example of negotiating, the good and the bad, and people don't talk about. Usually, when you watch on social media or read somewhere, you learn the good case and the bad cases, but the untold cases, these are the ones that I feel we can learn a lot from.
Yeah.
So the untold cases are during the transactions, when we're listing, as listing agent, we do everything we can to promote the property like it deserves and to get the maximum exposure out there. So the open house is usually strategically putting the time between 1 and 4, Saturday and Sunday, and then the hours maybe a couple of days before that for the twilight. And we drive traffic to that. And, we want to create a environment that a buyer walked in and it's like, wow, it's crowded and people like the house enough and they're going to put an offer in. So
Yeah.
I share this example because this is a where I feel the agent can negotiate better. But these are the unasked questions that could lead to the buyer paying a lot more than they should, right?
Yeah.
So we had total of three offers, and two offer were like 2.1, 2.08, so right around 2.1 area. And there's an offer that comes in at 2.37, almost 2.3.4.
Wow.
Now, the agent who
Almost
represented
300K more.
almost two
Yeah.
300K more. And the problem with this is that, yes, this buyer wants it really bad, you can tell, right? But should their agent reach out and say, hey, negotiate a little bit better. Hey, what kind of offer you have in place? My client look into this, they really want the property. Negotiate, try to get as much information you can out of the listing agent before you write an offer. And and I feel like because he shot in the dark, and because this buyer found this agent online somewhere that offered 80% of his credit back towards closing costs, this is where you walk into. I met a client at an open house, and I say, "Who's your agent?" And immediately, this new buyer shared with me that, "Oh, I use this online company, and I'm getting a lot of credit back for closing costs, and I
Was
need
it
that."
Redfin?
So I can't. I'm not going to use name, but with this story, I want to connect the dot here. This buyer is brand new to the market, and this is the new norm for them. That the whole 6.5% low inventory is the new norm, right? So he got into an agent online, and an agent online knew how to compete, right? Because they're writing in volume. They don't just write one offer for you. They get a lead in and they writing in volume. You know anything that writing in volumes, right? There's no human connection as far as like relationship. Hey, I went to a mixer and I met Vin, and Vin has a listing, and then hey, I'm Evan. Vin, I met you at one of the mixer. I'm writing an offer for you on 123 Main Street. My client really liked the property, but this is where we are. Where do you think we stand? And will you be able to give us a counter offer? And from the counter offer, you can really gauge where the seller kind of like threshold is at, right?
Yeah.
That's where you gauge, but instead you blew everyone out of the water by almost 300,000. Now, this buyer really saved himself 80% of that agent commissions, but that's still not covering enough the amount that he overpaid.
That they're paying. Yeah, I find it so crazy that a lot of agents, and for anybody listening, if you're another real estate agent or a client, an investor, make sure that when your real estate agent is dealing with the other real estate agent, they actually talk to them. Because a lot of times I find it so crazy that these real estate agents are helping you, they send an offer for you, and they don't say anything at all to the listing agent, asking
Right.
them how many offers are they dealing with, how many people came through the open house, disclosures, what are the sellers like, all these questions to find out a little bit more. Because really, what you're doing by not doing that is you're just throwing darts on the board, and you could end up losing really badly or overpaying like crazy, like your example. So it's so important to talk to these agents in person. I mean, I've been in situations where, I made an offer for a client and we weren't the highest, but because we were the one kept talking to them, kept being engaged with them, they took our offer because they were like, the other offer is higher, but I never even talked to the agent. I don't even know if they can close the deal or not. Versus, hey, you guys are a little bit under, but it's the sellers are okay with this offer, and at least I have some rapport. And rapport is so huge in this high competitive environment right now.
In a highly competitive environment where multiple offers in place, I share with my buyer agent that you're not there to win the offer at the first shot. You're there to get the counter offer. See,
Yeah,
don't go for the win, because if you go for
yeah,
the win, you shoot too high. Okay? Go for the counter offer. So, my question to the listing agent always like, okay, where do you feel I need to come in, and would you please make sure I get a counter? Because my
yeah,
client like a fair shot. If there's someone higher, please give us a chance on the counter, right?
yeah,
So when you
yeah.
get that counter offer, whether it's a SMCO, seller multiple counter offer, or counter offer, that's where you can really gauge the seller threshold and negotiate better from there. Yes, you may not able to get exact number. You may still shoot a little higher, but it's not that big of a gap.
Well, yeah, basically, you're the part of the negotiations is getting a response, letting the other side show their cards a little bit, so that way you know how to act, right? So, yeah, it makes sense. Whatever you do, you just want to make sure that you get a response, so you have some guidance. But being able to get three offers into the door like that takes a little bit of negotiation as well, right? Meaning, like, what did you have to do to even get multiple offers? I know anything you do nowadays, you just throw the home up, but there's a difference between just throwing the home up and getting some interest, and really making sure little details are done, so that way you guarantee good offers and that you have serious offers.
Right. So I think that's coming to the strategy on the listing side, how you strategically set the price and how you do your marketing to get that multiple offer. Anyone can put a sign in front of the house and get the home sold, but and you only need one offer
Yeah.
for the transaction. So, but your goal is to get the multiple offers, so you have the ability to negotiate in case one or two offers decide not to step up, and but you have that room for failure, right? That so in case you negotiate too harsh. So strategically, I think negotiations start uh, before the transaction even started. You got to start
Yeah.
with the seller.
Yeah.
Win the seller mindset first, and get him into the buying. When we sign a listing agreement with the seller, we immediately mention that to the seller that we're now partners. And what partnership do is we work together strategically to get this home. So this is your job and this is my job. And here are the things that we need to accomplish to get us to that multiple offer situation, and why we want that multiple offer situation. So I think that's where we needed to start. That's how we win in this market. People mention that, hey, it's crazy market. Anyone can sell a house. But yes, that I agree. But we just got 300,000 more than than the average price in that area. And how do we do that? Because of negotiating.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you're so right. Like a lot of people just think you could throw it up, but I talk to so many new agents these days, dude. It's crazy. Like everyone's always like, so as an agent, how do you show your value? Because there's a lot of talk about commissions and things like that, right? If you guys are following the commission story right now, there's a big court case about real estate agents getting sued because basically sellers were paying both seller and buyer's commission, and sellers won this court case stating that the agents were colluding and saying that, hey, you bumped up this commission so both y'all can get paid, but maybe that wasn't really what we were supposed to pay. So now that there's kind of a gray area, some sellers are saying, well, why do I have to pay for the buyer's commission now? So it's starting this trend where buyers agents are trying to show their values, right? It's trying to say, well, why should I get paid? And I see so many agents come in here and say like, oh, well, I'm gonna work so hard for you. I show you every property. I'm looking at properties every day for you. I'm sending it to you. But really, you as a buyer, you can look at these properties yourself. You can go to Zillow, Redfin, go to these open houses. So what's a real estate agent for? Are they just an expensive door opener? But really, the value is the negotiation part, right? How to make this process a little bit more predictable for you, but also be able to negotiate and get you what you want. Either get you the house or get you the price. I think this is such a huge thing that people think like, oh, real estate agents, we just show homes, but really the value in a good negotiator, a real estate agent is the negotiation. And I think that the agents who willingly give the credit off like that, like how example is, what value did they bring? They brought no value because they made their client pay extra, right? When you're asking for a commission, you bring that value, so you save your clients money. But
The moral of that story is that the buyer would never know that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that is the why we're talking on this podcast, because if you're a buyer and you overbid and want a property, the story that I just shared with you will never be told.
yeah,
Mainly because you won the property and how much you paid for it. You got the credit from the buyer agent, but you will never find out. Myself, I don't know either. If I'm representing you and then we didn't win that offer, someone else beat me to it, and I'll tell you exactly how much you're bidding for. But at the end of the day, the argument here is when the buyer is happy with what they got, and the
exactly,
value only is the next comps that is being sold
right,
in the area.
exactly,
So going back, if you're happy with what you're buying, then it's worth it, right? But the purpose for me sharing this story is that when you're working with your buyer agent, evaluate the credit you get and the service you receiving, is it worth that, right? And then ask all the right questions, starting to have a feel. Don't just buy a property, learn how to purchase a property, because you're going to buy more property in the road or down the road. So that's the important key factor of this journey of yours, buying the biggest assets you ever can purchase in your life, and learn everything you can from it, right?
yeah. It's crazy because it is the biggest asset, and when we're in the negotiation standpoint of this, sometimes the listing agent isn't so like communicative. So meaning like, hey, they're
And
bombarded
you
with
get
all
those
these.
too, yeah.
You get those. So my point is how do you try to get negotiation into that with those type of agents who don't want to negotiate, who don't want to communicate, and how do you still negotiate on behalf of your client?
So you see, you get listing agent, and unfortunately, there's few out there that when you call, text, offer due date, and you're not getting any response from the agent, they're simply too busy. Their voicemail is full. Their emails, they're not getting back. They upload everything online. They feel like everything should be there, so they get these automatic saying that, hey, you're submitting an offer, everything is online, go there, right?
Yeah.
So you can never talk to a human and have a feel or interaction where your offer should come in. So at this point, the only thing you need to do is do your study. If you're a buyer agent, do your study of the comps in the area, understand the value of that home, know how to do a judgment, because an appraiser, they appraise the home. They also use other factors to arrive to a certain value. They use cost approach, to put the value for a pool, or to renovate a kitchen, if you will. So these are the things that a buyer agent needs to know how to evaluate and arrive at a certain value and sell that to your buyer. And your goal here is to get again, the first response you're ever going to get from this listing agent probably a counter. So you're trying to get a counter from this person, because with a counter states a lot of where the seller threshold is at. So again, at the end of the day, your goal is to get a counter offer from the seller.
That's exactly right. I completely agree. 'Cause just like you were saying earlier with we want to get a response, right? If we can't get any response, at least our job is to get a counter offer. And sometimes if they're not communicative, the only way to get a counter offer is if you're on top of your crap, right? Meaning you write a clean offer, you follow instructions and you do all the disclosures, you get them all signed and acknowledged. But not only that, I noticed that some people are offering to do offers in person these days. A lot of that has been happening in the Palo Altos, Los Altos areas, those high echelon areas, because a lot of those agents, they just see names, they just see emails. But when you try to catch them in person at the office, it shows how much you really want to negotiate for your client and want to win for your client. That only gives you a higher chance of getting that counter. So with that being said, what are things that someone should look for when they're looking for an agent who can negotiate? What are some tips that you would give some people?
Yeah, I feel like be careful. I think relationship is really important in this acquisition of your most important assets. So relationship with your agent is super important over the credit. Because let's say if you walk to a family-owned restaurant, you don't want to eat for free. You want to pay them double. Why? Because you want to support their business, right? So if you're working with an agent, you make sure that they well pay. But at the end of the day, your goal is to get the best service that you can get out of this transaction, because that's your biggest transaction, right?
Yeah.
And understand that, and then see what this buyer agent can go above and beyond for you. Okay, first you house hunting process. Yes, I know there's a lot of information online, but what value you can get out of this buyer agent? When you have questions, do you get it right away? Do they sound knowledgeable enough to answer that question? Are they local? Because they're not local, they're online getting the lead somewhere. They don't understand, because one block down the street can be a total different market area. So understand the local. And real estate agents are hyper local. That is why we're not selling home in Southern California or even San Francisco, because we're simply not an expert in that area. But Silicon Valley, anywhere, any pocket, any zip code, we understand, because we practice here for the last 20 years and we understand where about and what the value is, right? So that is very important. And in negotiating, does this person, knows how to negotiate? And you can tell that by negotiating with that person,
Yeah.
Say, hey, I want 80% of your commission. And that person say, sure, I'll do it. Okay. Then,
Yeah.
then I probably won't hire that agent. All right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if he's so easy to give his money away or her money away,
Because they can also give your money away.
yeah, they're gonna give your
Right?
money away.
So when I talk to a few buyers that are new to the market, and that just came across my mind, I want to share this, because whether or not I reach that audience through this podcast, but I want you to start negotiating with your buyer agent for better service and value. Yes, if they offer you some credit back and help, and also a very knowledgeable agent, then you may win best in both worlds, right? But your number one goal is to get that property and negotiate it well and understand
Yeah.
the entire process of buying your first home.
Yeah, it's so huge, and I want to just touch up on real quick is that yeah, these agents who do end up giving a big credit, just know there's a reason why, right? It sounds very little, but it makes a huge difference as a difference between an agent who's experienced and who's not, like you're saying, who knows the area. Because even in our own backyard in San Jose, it's so big, and the neighborhoods can change from one street to another, right? Or going through inspection reports, an experienced agent can tell you how much can this thing cost, or another agent can not know, and then you'll be questioning, and they have to add more to your offer price or less to your offer price, which is gonna make you lose, right? Yeah, the negotiation is so huge, and it's actually spilled onto my personal life. So I have my girlfriend. She has a 6-year-old son, and I've learned that kids are also big negotiators. They negotiate on every single little thing, and I found that hey, once I find what you want, that's when I'm going to use that to my advantage and take the negotiation to my favor, right? So it's all about finding out what they want, and then once you find out what they want, and then you can negotiate. Like for example, this guy is always he always wants to play games on his cell phone, right? But we don't give it to him all the time. So when he's like, "Oh, can I play with the cell phone?" I'm like, "Oh, you want the cell phone right now? All right, let's see what else can I get from you if you want the cell phone, right?" So I'm like, "Oh, well, why don't you put the dishes away, or why don't you help me clean this up?" And then we're negotiating a little bit here and there, right? So it's
I love
use
it.
it in your own life, use it in
I
your own
love it.
life.
I'm hearing something else. I'm hearing you like your fatherhood at the moment.
Hey man, I wasn't kidding. I'm trying to be like you, man. I'm a little bit a little late to the game, but eventually, what are we all doing this for, right? What are we trying to invest for? What are we trying to make this money for? If it's just for yourself, then good luck. But you'll be bored out of your mind. Versus, I don't know. I feel like I have a little bit of purpose right now, trying to get this family together. So yeah,
The
it's
reason I
pretty
love
cool.
you because in this business, we always talk about the big why, and
Exactly.
and sometime when now that you're with your girlfriend and you guys, she has a kid, and of course you love this kid as your own, and now that becomes your bigger why, and I think the bigger why is always be taking care of someone else. It's never bigger why for me has never been like, oh, I want to take care of myself. It's always been a bigger things to accomplish when I can accomplish certain things with my family, right? So I feel like that's amazing to see where you are today.
It's so it's kind of unintentional, but talking to Thatch, talking to Anlong Duan, and on those episodes, they talked so much about why are we doing this, and that's just the biggest driver. And I've always like never related to you guys, never related. I was like, all right, yeah, a single guy, whatever, just trying to make money, right? But now that I have a little bit of taste of what you guys are dealing with your own families, I'm like, oh man, this is really important. I really want to set this whole family life up, make sure that we're all good. So it takes a little bit of negotiating too. So
No, it will compromise things you do, and you got to learn to adjust and adapt. So
yeah.
you're on the journey there, and I feel like it's great to see where you are today. A lot more mature than the last episode that we did together for sure.
All right, we'll see, man. We got a lot more episodes to do, so let's just see how it rolls. But I mean, you want to just kind of wrap this
Yeah.
episode up in a nice kind of bow here. What are the big things that you take away here?
I think the bigger things for me in 2024 is the real estate Silicon Valley market has always been the leader indicator for the rest of the market. Right now, what we do see is that the interest rate is on a track record of declining, which is a great thing for the home buyers. And then second thing is the inventory. Good thing is the inventory is not loosely out there. I do appreciate for the low inventory market because that really creates a lot of talent agents. Like I mentioned, my buyer agents are writing, 8, 9, 10 offers a week just to get one accepted. So that is kind of quality work that put in to writing and winning that craft to become a better agent. And I really appreciate that. And I share with my agent all day that, keep writing, learn from it. You know what I mean? And negotiate, learn how to negotiate in person, practice. If you haven't done one, if you're a real estate agent watching this episode, if you haven't done an offer presentation in person, I highly recommend you try that or do your best, try to get there, beg the agent and say, hey, I'd like to present my offer in person. Even though you don't know the heck out of that person, but try to do that because you really know how to gauge the reactions of the listing agent, and from the listing agent you can get to the threshold of the seller, and that's the end game. You want to get a response, you want to get a reaction from the seller, so that's when you win, right? It's like playing poker, you know what I mean? You throw 5 chips and you see little reaction right away, right? Versus going all in and you see a different type of reaction, right?
Yeah.
So that's, I think that's a big takeaway in 2024 is going in 25 where we can improve a better market. I feel like the interest rates going to continue to decline. We're going to have more inventory, more buyers going to come out of the wood, more sellers going to come out of the wood because now they can afford to move, right? Currently, because not so many sellers can afford to move because where can they go? The interest rate is so high,
Yeah.
they want to, most sellers I know are selling and buying somewhere cash because that's the only way. But how many people have the enough equity to do that? Right. So that's where we're seeing going to 2024. I think real estate market is going to really take off in 2025. So this is where I feel agents should sharpen their tool, buyers should sharpen their tools and then get back into the game.
Definitely, I agree. I think well put. The market's here, opportunities here. It's coming. So sharpen your edges. But
Sounds good.
this was a great episode, man. I can't wait to do more of these. I'll see you next week. But as always, if there's any questions, we love to answer these questions because we just want to keep it real, keep it raw. So any questions about investing, real estate, cash flow, business-wise, life-wise, drop it down in the comments. Message us. All our social medias are down below, and we'll go from there.
All right, sounds good. See you at next episode.
All right, see you.